Hello and welcome to another fun-filled edition of Adam's Music Box. Well, this is one for people who really like piano, both in terms of performance and in terms of composition, because one of my very favorite composers of all time and one of my very favorite pianists of all time is the same person, Ernst von Dohnányi. Sometimes he's called Erno instead of Ernst, but it's a matter of German versus Hungarian, but it's the same person. And what a composer he was. I would say that probably along with Scriabin, he wrote some of the most interesting piano works of the 20th century. Now, he was someone who led a very long life, which helps to explain why his music was influential on so many different schools, so many different styles of composition and playing. He was born in the 1870s but died in 1960. And across that long life, while his personal style remained remarkably consistent, he influenced people in the late Romantic era when he was very young at the turn of the 20th century, and he influenced the modernists of the first half, if you will, of the 20th century, particularly the 20s, 30s, 40s. Now, his style of composition is something that I would tend to describe as where romanticism meets modernism. The idea that modernistic conceptions of composition need to be sort of intrinsically opposed to romanticism is really something that is a falsehood, but it's one that's been perpetuated by a media that likes to promote and proclaim the greatness of very dissonant and very anti-harmonic, 12-tone type of modernist composers at the expense of the modernist composers who had very intricate and forward-looking and unusual heterodox harmonies, but that nevertheless had that romantic idiom in terms of their overall effect on the listener, in terms of the overall emotional messaging that you'd get from such compositions. You could put Scriabin into that category, who in many ways was far more of a modernist than Dohnányi, but both of them sit in that period that is neither where the shoe is neither in one foot nor the other. But when you listen to just how good the music is, you begin not to care. Now, Dohnányi also he wrote symphonies, he wrote works for the stage, he wrote chamber music, and all of it is really good. But I do think his legacy, probably because he performed his own music at the piano so frequently, is his composition for solo piano. And again, he was such a great performer, not only of his own music, but of others. He had a wonderful sense of rubato, which for me is the sign of any good European classical performer, because European classical music, quite unlike the classical traditions in other parts of the world, is one in which melody and harmony guide the rhythm. The rhythm is subservient to the melody and the harmony. It goes where the melody and harmony tell them. Contrast that with other classical traditions like the classical percussive music of West Africa, places like Nigeria and Ghana. Contrast that with the gamelan of Indonesia, where the harmony and the melody and even the ethos of the music is guided by the rhythm. You can look at Indian raga, where rhythm and harmony exists on two co-equal yet separate planes. And so I think it's good that all of these traditions are very different because it makes them unique. And in this sense, Dohnányi was one of the best pianists to be an exponent of this tradition. And overall, his music is just wonderfully listenable. Even when he employs dissonance, it's done in such a way where the resolution ends up being so beautiful that it is both easy on the ear and perhaps most importantly, easy on the soul. So definitely check him out. And luckily, all on Spotify and all of your other music streaming platforms, you've got multiple recordings of him playing his own works. All of his solo piano works he recorded himself. Those are definitely the ones to listen to. You will not be disappointed. Like, subscribe, and we'll see you next time. Take care.